10x goals, and we're pushing our limits and pushing our boundaries. So this morning I figured, hey, I'm turning 32, might as well go run 32 miles.
What happened in your mind that you just decided you're gonna go for a run of 51.5 kilometers non-stop in 4 hours 35 minutes?
But as you achieve your goals, you need to keep setting the bar higher and higher. And so in a few months, I'm going to be running 100 miles, which is around 168, 170 kilometers. This year decided instead of doing it for 75 days, we're going to do it for 365 days. The biggest, the most money I've made in a year. If anything, it's, I've done the most investing, the money that I've made in the previous years, but this has been the most productive year of my life, hands down, by far. Getting rid of the distraction, getting rid of the alcohol and the partying. It has allowed me to go to bed early, wake up early, focus on my fitness goals, focus on my coaching, and really grow and scale my businesses. I consider myself the compounder coach, helping individuals adopt and live the compounder lifestyle. And to me, to be a compounder is someone who actively makes the decisions today that will benefit them tomorrow. Every decision you make in your life, the decisions you make today will determine the life that you live tomorrow. And so if you make good decisions or bad decisions, they are ultimately all going to add up to the life that you live.
I want to welcome Justin Martínez, compound coach from Tennessee, US, former US Ranger, entrepreneur, business owner, and compounder coach. Very, very welcome and happy birthday.
Hey, thank you so much. This is a great way to spend my birthday. I'm glad to be one of the first ones in the studio and be in the beautiful coast of Spain. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this place, man. I've had a lot of birthdays in a lot of countries, and this is up there for sure.
So, I mean, we just gonna dive in quickly. It's really a birthday. You are really flew in from the US to celebrate that here, spent the whole week with us here. And tell us a little bit about your morning walk that you did.
Morning walk. I love that. Yeah, so I kind of, was like every year you got to spice it up a little bit. And, we're on this kick right now where we're setting 10x goals and we're pushing our limits and pushing our boundaries. So this morning I figured, hey, I'm turning 32, might as well go run 32 miles or 52 kilometers in the kilometer world. So that was an adventure for sure.
Amazing. And so, what happened in your mind that you just decided you're gonna go for a run of 51.5 kilometers non-stop in 4 hours 35 minutes? I mean, that's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And so, the thing with the mindset is a lot of people set goals, and a lot of times they set them a little, small and short. And so, I had shorter goals. My goals were to run a half marathon and then a marathon. But as you achieve your goals, you need to keep setting the bar higher and higher. And so in a few months, I'm going to be running 100 miles, which is around 168, 170 kilometers in a few months. So this is just a training run, building up to that higher plateau. And it was the longest run I've done so far, and it sucked. And we have a long ways to go, but that was the motivation behind it.
Just to make people as well understand a little bit how you are ticking. So we are today here on October 2024, and how long is it that you're not drinking one sip of alcohol?
Oh man, I made a commitment for the year of 2024, so we're going on 10 and a half months now without any alcohol or stimulants or anything like that.
Okay, and smoking?
Yeah, no smoking, no drinking, no
No
partying.
girls? No girls?
That's kind of a side effect when you don't drink and party. You don't go out and put yourself out there as much, and so unfortunately, yeah, I've been lacking in that department a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you for your honesty. So actually, just to make people understand actually what makes you tick in your brain, you just decided, what was it that you took to that decision? Say, I would stay a whole year without alcohol, without drugs, without smoking, without having sex, without, what motivates you?
Yeah, no, it was last year. There was a program called 75 Hard. I'm not going to get really into it if you've heard about it. If you haven't looked, I recommend people to look it up. It changed my life. And it's a 75-day thing. And I did it a couple times last year. So me and a couple buddies this year decided instead of doing it for 75 days, we're going to do it for 365 days.
Wow.
And I saw how productive I was when I was doing it for those 75 days. And now that I'm doing it for these 365 days, this hasn't been the biggest, the most money I've made in a year. If anything, it's, I've done the most investing, the money that I've made in the previous years, but this has been the most productive year of my life, hands down, by far. Getting rid of the distraction, getting rid of the alcohol and the partying, it has allowed me to go to bed early, wake up early, focus on my fitness goals, focus on my coaching, and really grow and scale my businesses.
Yeah, and as I do know a little bit more about yourself, about you, I want to add as well about the training. So you train how many days a week?
Well, every day. So part of no drinking alcohol or smoking, part of that is I have to do 2 workouts a day every single day. So for the past 10 months, I've been doing 2 workouts a day, every
Every
day,
single day.
no
Did you had a
days off.
cold, were you sometimes tired?
Yeah, there's days that are off days, I call active recovery days. So it might be some yoga or stretching or calisthenics for one of the workouts. But there's still one of the workouts is still pretty tough every single day.
So when you say like active recovery, it means not laying in the sofa watching Netflix.
No, no. We're actively moving and engaging our body and stimulating our body, but we're not pushing it to its limits and breaking it down. We're moving, but we're recovering at the same time.
I have to admit, really impressive. So it's just we got a little picture of what's going on in your life this year, deciding that on just starting a year, no alcohol, no drinking, just focusing on your life, your business, your growth. That's what I want to ask you as well. Compounder coach, what's going on about that one?
Yeah, so compounder, my coaching business is compound effect coaching, and I consider myself the compounder coach, helping individuals adopt and live the compounder lifestyle. And to me, to be a compounder is someone who actively makes the decisions today that will benefit them tomorrow. So compound effect coaching, you hear about the compound effect of interest, money, you put money in the bank and compound interest, it accumulates more and more over time. Well, it's the same thing. Every decision you make in your life, the decisions you make today will determine the life that you live tomorrow. And so if you make good decisions or bad decisions, they are ultimately all going to add up to the life that you live. So to be a compounder is someone who actively makes the right decisions with their future and tomorrow in mind.
Really impressive. And when we are talking about compound coach, I would like to go in as well about your military story. I mean, for us in Europe, formal US Ranger, it's just like, what is it? What can we understand that? What's your background? How did you run into that? And what can we understand from a US Ranger?
So the best way to describe it is, being Ranger, I'm Ranger qualified. And so yeah, I joined the military. They say, less than 1% of the U.S. population joins the military. And then just joining the military wasn't enough for me. I always had high ambitions to go above and beyond and do more things and set myself apart. We'll talk a little bit later about the 10X mindset, but I had the 10X mindset back then before I really knew that I had it. And so I was like, how do I set myself apart? And I was the most physically fit person in my unit out of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. And I got the opportunity to go to U.S. Army Ranger School, which is revered as one of the most elite leadership schools in the world. When I went through it, we had Army Special Forces, we had Air Force Pararescue, we had Canadian Special Forces, we had other country special forces that were there. It's a very grueling school that you go through for 2 to 3 months. Very little sleep, very little food. You have to conduct operations and learn how to not only get the mission done, but to motivate your peers. Because everyone that you're working with in your unit and squad is just as hungry, just as tired, just as unmotivated, and you have to motivate them to accomplish the mission. So that once you pass that school, you are, less than 1% of the U.S. Army even gets a chance to go to that school, and then of those that go, only 33% will pass. And so it takes a lot of grit and mental, no quit attitude to be able to do that.
I like to talk a lot in my life about identities. So if you would look back, like, was there an identity of Justin Martínez before the Ranger School and a different identity of who you became, what it made out of you after joining the U.S.
That's a
military as a U.S. Ranger?
That's a great question. I haven't really thought of that, but I can absolutely say, being a 19, I was 19, just turning 20 when I went through Ranger School. Most people that go through Ranger School are well in almost to their 30s. The fact that I got to go was a testament of itself, especially at the age that I went to. Here I am, a 19, 20-year-old kid just past Ranger School. Yeah, I had an ego. I definitely developed an ego. The pre-Justin before that was maybe a little unsure of himself, unsure of his abilities. Had never really tapped into, had never dug that deep before. I'd run a couple half marathons. I'd done some physical fitness stuff. I had a perfect APFT score, but post Ranger School, that really got the gears grinding in my head of, man, what the human mind and body can accomplish if you really push yourself and are determined to accomplish that goal.
Impressive, really impressive. And I think it's a good moment to actually connect about where and how we met, actually, and the way we actually connected on a deeper level. I mean, I was in the US in early this year on this journey where I joined in with Grant Cardone partnership, actually being a licensee of his programs, of his content as a 10x business consultant coach. And yeah, I met this little guy there, funny, good mood, laughing, and it was just happening. And hey, what you doing? And we just stopped talking, and then suddenly it was like, yeah, I'm training. But do you remember how it
Yeah,
started our conversation?
absolutely. We started talking, at the conference, and everyone there is just encouraged to meet one another. Your
Yeah.
network is your net worth, and so we just started talking, and we were there, and yeah, your energy was great as well. I was like, man, this guy's a cool guy, and we started talking, and really it was the walk back from the conference. We were staying at the same hotel,
Absolutely.
and you were telling me that you went for a run, and I was telling you that I ran this morning too. It's like, oh, we both run.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I had mentioned, because being me, I was like, I wanted to just tell everybody, hey, I'm training for an Ironman right now. I was like, yeah, I'm training for an Ironman, and you're like, I do Ironmans too, and it was like, no way, you do Ironmans, and
Yeah,
instantly,
yeah. It was like a
yeah,
snap.
like, hey, and then we continued talking and getting to know each other. We had dinner, and it kind of grew from there.
Yeah, and then it was like the certification. It was
Yep.
like 2 months ago. Was it a month ago?
About a month and a half ago, we ran
Month
into
and a
each
half
other
ago, we
again.
just
Yeah.
connected again. We didn't even communicate, but you were in there. It's,
Yep.
hey, I'm here again.
Hey.
Here we go. And then, yeah, we just shared it. We both have a birthday in October.
Yep.
And said like, hey, why don't you come to visit Spain? And just opening a studio there, and yeah, here you are. It was just impressive. Why do I say that? It's about what has changed from as a U.S. Ranger military, an employee of the U.S. military of the state, and then saying, okay, I'm done with that. I want to be an entrepreneur. Just putting yourself out, like taking your assets in risk, your income to zero, and you say, hey, I just want to do that. What has shifted there? What was your motivation?
Well, at the end of the day, I do have the entrepreneurial mindset, and that's when you're in the military. The military is great. Unfortunately, it's just very controlled, very strict, very demanding, and it's almost like you're a lion in a cage, and you need to get free. So getting out and starting that journey was huge for me. And so, went to college, got my bachelor's degree, got my master's degree, and since the military, I've never worked for anybody. I've found ways to entrepreneur my way through life. I've started vending machine companies.
How old have you been there?
I was 23 when I got out of the Army. And at 23, I bought my first house. I was able to purchase my first home as an asset. It was an income producing asset while going to college, while starting a vending machine company, while running door-to-door sales teams. It just clicked. And so from there, it's just grown and scaled. I've got really heavy into the real estate world. and being heavy in real estate. Obviously, you end up hearing about Grant Cardone and the whole 10x philosophy. I read his book, and it was really monumental because I was able to relate to the book and relate to the teachings and the philosophies. I was living this lifestyle without having context to it, and reading that book put context to it. And I said, hey, I need to dig into this guy a little bit more. And that's where I went to GrowthCon and decided to sign up for the business licensee coaching program to become a licensee. And yeah, it's been an awesome journey so far.
Impressive, even though that part is kind of very similar path that we had. I mean, I left my country when I was 22. I wasn't working for anybody else since I'm 23.
I love
And it's
that.
just
Yeah.
like you gotta go through your life. You just convinced on what you're doing. I have to say, it's a long journey. It's looking back, it's a very gratifying journey, but as well, when you think about stories, it's a very challenging path, challenging stories, pain, suffering, sorrow, getting beaten down in business, going through a crisis, just thinking back in the 97, 98, 2002, 2008, 2017, 2020. I mean, it's like you just get it from everywhere, left, right, and you gotta keep pushing. It's like an Ironman. For example, when I did my first Ironman, just short a recap on that one. I think it was 2016. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks with a double pneumonia. 6 weeks in hospital. It's just like really, it's a long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just had issues with the lungs because the doctor said that the scars that you get on the lungs, you never can do any strong sports. You cannot put yourself out on doing marathon and running. And for me, it was like there. What the hell?
Yeah,
Who is
like
that guy who
what?
tells
No
me
way.
what I
Yeah,
have to
you
do?
know.
Since I'm a kid, when everybody told me you cannot do that, for me it was like, okay, watch me. And I didn't know how. I didn't know. For example, there is a sentence that I laugh a lot about GC Grant Cardone. He's like, commit first, figure out later.
Yeah.
And as you said before as well in the 10x philosophy, it's something that we had together as well. I had that already since I'm little. 10x philosophy. I didn't even know that it exists. And the same, it's like in that hospital, I took a decision in the 6 week, and I was figuring out what could I do, just to say I need something bigger in my life than that, or what I couldn't do. And I just said, I told the doctor, remember, a week later, said, you know what, I'm gonna do Ironmans. And
He looked at you like, what?
It's like, I mean, he said, that's the best recipe if you want to kill yourself. Do Ironmans. I mean, he said, you don't have to do that. Just start doing marathons. You're gonna kill yourself for sure. And it was a path. I have to say, it was like a 2-year transition. It's like I got injured on training. I got fascia plantar. It was so many things, but I just all the time stick to my goal. And I just did it. And I was so convinced, and there was all these challenges, that things that you keep you back, and all these obstacles on your path. But if you once you're committed to something more than yourself, in that moment you just keep pushing. And I believe that's a mindset. That's a philosophy. And if I look back, it's just like there was an identity shift. It's not that you say that you brag, okay, I'm an Ironman. No, it's who I became through that process.
Absolutely.
And once that you cross that line, and once that you do it your first time, look, I'm getting goosebumps all
Yeah,
over.
no, I'm thinking
And
about it too, you
you
know?
just made your first one, and it's just like there is a whole identity shift. You live your life on different terms. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to do an Ironman tomorrow, but it's about setting 10x goals in your life. Actually, setting goals that you never could believe that this is actually possible. Just doing something that's far bigger than yourself. Just crush it. Go for the Himalaya. Go for cross the world through the desert, whatever it is. Just set big goals. What do you think about goal setting?
Oh, it's huge. You know, it's been the key to my success in being able to set goals, and not only just setting goals that you know you can achieve, setting goals that are outside of your realm of even knowing. You know, I remember the first time, it was probably about 10 years ago. I was maybe like 18, 19 years old, so it was probably like 12 years ago or so. I remember finding out about a triathlon. I was like, man, I would like to do a triathlon one day. And I looked up just an Olympic distance triathlon, 1,500 meter swim, 26-mile run, and or a 26-mile bike, and a half marathon, or and a 10K. And I was like, man, I'll never be able to do that. That's crazy. And that's only a quarter of what a full Ironman is, And so it's all about perception, but goals have been huge in my success. Without goals, I wouldn't have gone to Ranger School, because I had this goal that I was going to achieve that. I wouldn't have completed my bachelor's or master's degrees. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without goals.
So when we talk about goals, I mean, just setting goals, I would like to go like quickly back to that statistics that we were talking about before earlier on the New Year's resolutions. You remember, it's like 45% of people who set New Year's resolutions. I mean, it's quite huge. 45% of the people around the world, they said on New Year, I will do that, I don't know, quit smoking, going to the gym twice a week, read a book once a month, listen to a podcast, or call mom and dad every Sunday. So whatever goal it is for yourself, or just lose 5 pounds, 2 kilos, whatever it is, or do not touch the phone on dinner with family. So 45% of people actually make a goal, and it's impacting that 8% of the people who actually achieve their resolutions, 8% of them, all the people that they set goals, they just received their resolutions. And this number is really impacting 80% of the people who abandon their resolution within the first month of January. So you said before as well something about that statistic. What was it?
Yeah, it was like 23% of goals are failed within the first week of a New Year's resolution. And so the crazy thing is at the end of the day, a lot of people are not setting goals. Goals without a plan of action is a dream. A lot of people are stating dreams that they would like to accomplish. They're not actually setting goals. There's a difference. And so until people actually learn how to properly set goals, they're setting themselves up for success, or setting themselves up for failure.
What you just said, 42% of goals achieved actually are those who write their goals down. This is just absolutely game changer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is well something that Grant Cardone, GC, talks about. He writes his goals twice a day.
Yep.
First thing in the morning and last thing in the evening. It's like you write it out, you got it clear, you created vibrations of energy, of success. You see yourself already being that person, accomplishing that goal, celebrating that with your loved ones, the colors that you laugh around, the music that plays in your head. And this number is as well, for me, it was like a game changer when I heard that. 81% of millionaires who attribute their success to setting goals and writing them down. So, I mean, in your course, what is your course called?
So I've got a few courses, but the Ranger mindset, goal setting, learning how to set goals, learning how to stay determined. One of the things I like to talk about and harp on is GC talks about writing your goals down. He writes them down every day, twice a day. What this does is this instills a sense of ownership within the goals, and it creates a sense of determination and dedication. Back when I went through Ranger School, I was motivated to go to Ranger School. I was training. I was excited. I was pumped. I was ready to go. Let's even talk about the run this morning. I was motivated to start that run, before it started, before the pain kicked in, before it was real. I was motivated. I was ready to go, just like everyone who sets their goals on New Year's. They're pumped. They're motivated. They're ready to rock and roll. But as soon as one little thing gets in their way, one little obstacle, that motivation drops way down, almost non-existent. When I started hitting mile 15, 16, 17, that motivation.
Let's just start. Sorry to cut you off here. I remember this morning, last night we were sitting there and said, okay, I would recommend that I mean, please do not forget that you are from the US. How many times have you been here in the Costa del Sol in Spain in your life?
First time.
First time. So it's not that you're here for the last 6 weeks. So this, I told you, I recommended you a track where it's lovely to run, you know.
Yes.
And yesterday evening we were sitting there and said, hey, just catch an Uber tomorrow morning. We located it where it is, where it should bring you. So what happened? Imagine you're going to set yourself up for success. You set yourself up for doing a 51, 52K run in the morning where you start. And suddenly, what happened in the morning with the Uber?
Life punched me and threw me an obstacle.
So what was it?
Yeah, so the Uber, they wouldn't show up. I called and called and called and called, and they wouldn't
reservation.
come.
So
I tried to make the thing, and
yes,
they accepted, and then they declined, and they didn't show up.
So first of all, you are in a place you don't know where it is. You had a track where you actually planned to run, and the transport did not show up. So what do you think? How many people would actually say, "Okay, it doesn't matter. Let's do it tomorrow"? Most. So what did you do?
I said, screw that. Let's find another route.
So you just went out without knowing where you are, and you just remembered, okay, he told me something about there is the beach. So you went down the beach. You went on the other side, because I told you when you run to the left, something, it's like not good. You can run to a place, but then you have to get off the road, get into the city, and said, okay, let's run to the right. You've never done that before. You knew nothing about that circuit. You just said, okay, I have one mission, and this is 52K by the end of the day. So you just started running a place you didn't know, and you just started running until you felt.
Yeah, until it was time. You know, sometimes I was on the beach. Other times I was zigzagging through cars and streets. At one point I was running along the side of the highway. And, you know, I was like, man, what are we doing here? But again, that I had this goal, and there was nothing going to stop me from achieving it.
Absolutely. I think that's just amazing. It's just really brutal to have somebody here that actually shares that experience, not just the superstars and the big cracks that we see on TV. So this happens in real life, and just you are the creator of your life, and that's how we actually just everybody can do that. You don't have to start with a 50K run, but you can start with a 5K run. You can start with something small, but having that, what you said before, motivation versus determination. And that makes a difference, because you can be hyped up. You can say like, I gonna go for that, I gonna do it. But at the moment that little bird shits you on the head, all that motivation is gone. You know, like, oh, now I stink, I need a shower. It's like, no, I don't care what's on my head. I keep running. And you did that. What stage did the knee pain hit you?
Yeah, so around it's funny, is you feel great up until mile 10. You're like, man, I can run 100 miles right now. I feel good, and, you know. And then all of a sudden, you keep going, and right around mile 15, so about halfway, my knee really started hurting bad. I got a tough left knee. And
sorry to cut you off again.
We
were riding in the car, and he tried to convince me that he had a bad knee, you know. So it's like, oh, I have a really bad knee. It's like it starts to hurt. I said, you just run 51K and you're still in one piece. So you don't have a bad knee. This just happens.
You caught myself. Yeah, I stopped myself from saying that. So.
You don't have a bad knee.
But it's a little, you know, it's got its pains, it's got its things and stuff. And so, yeah, about halfway. So I was about 25, 26K in.
You just suck it up.
And it started hurting. It was bad. I mean, it's pain. There was moments about three quarters of the way through the run. The pain was so bad. All I could think about in my head is I bet 99% of people, if they felt the pain that I was feeling, would definitely not be running, would be sitting down somewhere, would probably even have tears. There was a moment where I almost had tears in my eyes. I mean, it was bad. The pain was brutal, but I wasn't going to stop. I was going to keep running. And some people call that stupid. You're just going to injure your body. But you know what? I was gonna complete the mission. I was gonna complete the goal.
I love that, and I think I just want to share as well this little extraction of that story. When I had my first Ironman, I did not go from zero to marathon, from zero to start swinging. I just said, okay, When I woke up, this was a slogan. This is not to put other people down, or this is just for me a slogan that actually everybody has his things that you repeat yourself. It's like, why don't you start with a marathon? For me, in my head was like, every idiot can stand up in the morning and decide to do a marathon. I want to start from zero to Ironman because there is a challenge. It's like for me to put myself in a state where I just have to be committed, not motivated. And I remember it was in Austria, I did the first one. It was an incredible day. First of all, it started, I think we had like 26, 28 degrees. The water was really, it's sweet water, it's in a lake. So it was so hot that we were not allowed to use the wetsuit. Yeah. So swimming without a wetsuit, you are a tough swimmer. I was not. I actually started really swimming more than 15 minutes, like the year before I did the Ironman, so it was a real challenge. And then they took me off the wetsuit. Well, not just for me, just for everybody.
That's your training wheels, right there.
And the sweet water, it's like in salt water, you have this type of, you float. It's easier to stay on the line.
And you were telling me, how many people quit once they got rid of the wetsuit?
Yes, I think it was 350. When I came back into that, it was like, there were so many bikes around. I said, hey, what? Because I'm not a fast swimmer. And I was like, hey, where are all those people? They said they didn't start. I said, what do you mean they didn't start in the decision area? They said, yeah, because it was without wetsuit. And people without wetsuit, they are not good swimmers. They just don't do that. It's too much. I said,
that just shows how tough it really is.
Yeah, and I just said, so why should I come here if I wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
So, okay, we went in there, and there was a weather shift. So from really, really, really hot, after kilometer, I think it was 130, 140 kilometers on the bike, there came the how you call it, not just raining, when these little ice balls fall down.
Oh, like hail.
Hail, yeah, hail, and the thunder. So, and it started from like, I think we had about over 30 degrees, it went down to 15 degrees. But when you get on the mountains.
Yeah.
And this was a moment for me. I have seen that with the hail and the wind blows, I had cyclists in front of me, and I've just seen that the wind moved him a meter or 1.5 meters in front of him, one side to the other one. And the only thing what I did, I just created like a vest protection on me. I put myself on the bike and I said, you gotta keep going. You just keep going. You keep going. I have seen there in Austria, there was this little wood where the buses stops, these little houses that protects, you know what I mean?
Yes,
so,
yes.
And I have seen there groups of cyclists of 10, 15 people together.
Hurdled in there.
Yeah, because it's just freezing cold.
Oh,
I mean, this how you call it, the ice?
Yeah, the hail.
The hail comes down, and I could understand that. I was like, fuck. It's like, I understand that. It's fucking freezing cold. You start to get the cramps. And for me, it was like, hey, I came here for a purpose. And that's where motivation is gone. It's about determination. You are committed for something that you have a reason to dive through. I mean, after the bike, after the 100K, went down to recession, the cramps, I got cramps in my legs. Thanks God I had preparation, I had my magnesium with me and put it in there. And in that moment, I went off the bike and I started to change my gear and get on the shoes. I said, this is done. This is done. And when I run through when you start running in the transition, and say, hey, come on, boys, that's done, you know? And everybody was like, suck, there's still a run. This is just an attitude that you have in your mind. And after, I think, kilometer 10 or something like that, my body started to break down. It just broke down. My nervous system broke down. I couldn't walk anymore. I was on the floor. I had to go to the toilet. It crushed me down, nervous system. And it just said, my body, it's over. So in that moment, I was like, well, that is my body saying. But in my mind was like, hey, you got to get back on your feet.
Yeah.
So I was there in the toilet for some time. I got to get myself together again. I'm not even sure if I was vomiting as well, because it was, you know, your body, it's enough. It's just, it said stop. And I don't know how I did it and how long I was in there. And I just got my shit together again. I went out there and I don't know what this phrase was. I had it like, you can you can stop or walk, you can walk or go, but you never stop. Du kannst rennen oder gehen, aber niemals stehen. Ja, in German is, du kannst rennen oder gehen, aber niemals stehen. You can run or walk, but you never stop. So it makes the rhyme of that. And you keep walking. I think after kilometer 25, I was in the game again. And on the end, it was just like, and it's, again, I would like that you hook on there again on the motivation and determination. What's the difference? What can you give a message on people that can apply that at home actually today, that they understand the difference between being motivated about something or actually determined to accomplish something?
Yeah, no, I mean that's the biggest thing in life right there, and at the end of the day, if you're relying on motivation, you're never going to accomplish your goals, especially when things get tough. You're just not going to be able to do it. It's going to fleet. It's going to go away, and you're going to have one of two choices. The thing is most people. Nine times out of 10, there are extenuating circumstances, but times out of 10, if someone falls short of a goal, they made a conscious choice to quit and not achieve that goal. And usually because motivation is gone, life throws obstacles, which we all know it does, and they were never determined in the first place. And so you have to learn that when you say, it just comes down to when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. You just have to develop this mindset, and that's the biggest bridge that I help people cross in my coaching, is that, and it was the big thing that I struggled for a long time because I have this mindset, and I really struggled to understand with people, why don't they have this mindset? Like, why can't you just be determined, stop being motivated and get determined to do something? And so part of my program is we help figure out a program to get people from out of that motivated mindset into that determined mindset. And a lot of that comes through physical fitness. How you do one thing, and this is I learned from Grant Cardone, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so if you're lazy and weak and don't work out, you don't eat right, well, you're not going to have great relationships. You're not going to run your business properly. You're probably going to be a shit employee. And so to be able to bridge the gap from motivation to determination, you have to not only set goals, but you have to do things in your life that make you push yourself. And
For example,
one of the best things I will always relate it back to is, like you said, you don't have to do an Ironman. I think running is one of the best things. If you can mentally push yourself to accomplish a distance run. Now, there are people who cannot run, physically limited, and there are other things they can do. You know, I always say, don't focus on what you can't do, focus on what you can do. So people will be like, oh, I can't run because of this. Okay, well, that's your excuse to not do anything. Figure out what you can do and apply that. And so I think whether it's a 5K, a 10K, a half, a full marathon, you need to figure out how to push yourself mentally to achieve something and not quit. And that is one of the things I help my clients divulge in, is not just developing this mindset, but how do we get your diet dialed in? How do we get your fitness dialed in? How do we get you to the point where you can sign up for your first 5K, 10K, or wherever level you're at, stepping up to that next level?
And you was talking about as well about comfort zone. I personally find that that there are three zones. On one side is our comfort zone. It's like everything that we have around us. We go to work, we have our car, we sleep in the bed, we have to drink, the fridge is full. We have everything we need around us. The TV is on, food, we have the electricity, friends around, the bars. It's like being a day without food, it's not on the plane, because that's our comfort zone. And then we have, like, secondly, I would say there is a stretch zone. A zone that people push themselves to go over that comfort that they have. Like we did as well, quite funny. 3 days ago, what did we do? We just not went on a hike. We just
we ran up that mountain, man. That was a good. I forgot about that. That was a good hike.
So this is a stretch zone. Stretch zone means that you stay in your comfort zone, you do your training, you do your workouts, but like once a week or just like once after a very short time, you stretch yourself, where you just totally get out. For example, like every Monday do a day fast. Or for example, like you do in your training, you have like every Monday when you just give me your
I do Murph
every
Mondays.
Monday workout?
So part of my 365 hard, every Monday I do a Murph workout. And a Murph workout is you slap on a 20-pound weighted vest, you run a mile, you do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and then you run a mile, all while wearing that vest.
So, okay, but there are moments, I mean, there are just moments where we are out of our comfort zone, even though if this comfort zone is part of the plan. And for example, Justin, what happened with him? So he were not in a country, he were not in a continent he normally is, and he were here in Spain. And what would be the most normal decision on that Monday?
To not do it.
Not do it. Okay. So
Enjoy my
what happened?
vacation.
What happened on that Monday?
I did it.
So where did you get this vest from?
I got it from you.
So coincidentally,
You just happen to have a vest.
okay, why do you think that happens?
Because we're friends and you're awesome.
No, energy attracts energy. So you are with same-minded people. I mean, it's not coincidentally that I had a fucking vest out there.
Yeah,
it's
know.
like you stick around with people, they are same badass as you are. So if you smokers normally go out with people they smoke. Drinkers go out with people they drink. People they sit.
Iron men go out with Iron men, you know?
So it's like energy attracts similar and liked energy.
Absolutely.
So you went on that Monday in Spain, and I was like, "Hey, are you really kidding?" No. So he said, "Do you have a vest?" Yeah, of course I have one. So and that
Sweet.
morning, people were looking like if you're insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely 28 degrees outside,
Yep.
the 10K vest on, running your mile, coming back, doing the pull-ups, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats.
Yes.
So this is what I mean about stretch zone. So we actually, if you want to grow in business and life, we have to find things to put ourselves out of our comfort zone voluntarily, pushing against weights and resistance and resilience to actually stay in that stretch zone. But there's a third zone, which actually is a danger zone. Danger zone, what I would call, it's like you go over the stretch that you actually can put yourself in danger. What could be that type of things? Do you do things like that as well?
I mean, if you want to talk about, like, I guess if you're skydiving or,
Here we go.
crazy stuff like that, or, hiking the mountain that we were hiking, sometimes you're on the rocks, should we take the lower route and take it easy? No, we're up on the rocks, running across the rocks.
That's what we did on our hike. So we were just jumping around like goats in a mountain we did not know. And we just said, okay, let's run and just jump and do that. That's actually a danger zone.
I would be willing to say, your doctor telling you, hey, you're not going to be able to do any extreme sports ever again. And you say, screw that.
That's a danger
I'm
zone.
doing an Ironman.
That's a danger
You're laying
zone.
on the floor feeling incapacitated.
Absolutely.
You're in your danger zone.
So being in that danger zone, I would not recommend to do that to anybody. For example, when I go on my runs here in the Costa del Sol in the summer, we have 36 degrees, 38 degrees. My neighbors at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., seeing me putting my cap on, having sometimes not even a water bottle, because if I run not longer than an hour, I do not carry water with me. And he says like, hey, are you insane? You cannot do that. You're going to put your life in danger. And I was looking at him with a fat belly and the beer in the hand, doing a barbecue there. And I said, hey, man, you're putting your life in danger. I just set myself up for success, So it's normally you have to walk through. And I mean, there's one thing on another series on the podcast, we're going to dive into that. But this danger zone, I want to share something about that. In March this year, April, I've been in Fiji, and I had an injury already on my tendons here, so it was already kind of badass. So I was like already injured. So when you're injured, you should not do things actually that put yourself in danger. But part of that challenge was to climb up a post, like a telephone post of 25 meters. And this is something like everybody else would say, yeah, I can do that. So I climbed up that post 25 meters. But then once you're up the post, you have to put yourself with 2 feet on a post like of 25 centimeters circle. You get on there, and then you have to jump 4 meters onto a trapeze to grab that trapeze. And for me, my mindset was like, few mates, they knew about my injury because I was already with my right arm, and they said, hey, you shouldn't do that. This is really not, you should not do that because you put yourself under risk. What happens if? And for me, in my head, this mindset was like, hey, you rather do it full, you rather full in or not at all. It's just like I do not do half things. So I went up there, I did the jump on the trapeze. Obviously, it was like a snap. I could feel it already. So the over biceps was totally torn apart, 8 centimeters back. The tendon was wrapped out of the bone. So and yeah, this is just 3 months ago. 20 stitches here, and they set everything up. Why do I want to share this? This is a danger zone. You put yourself in danger. But for me, looking back, would I've changed that? Not 1 second. And this is insane for other people to understand. You understand what I mean? So
Yeah,
for me,
absolutely.
putting myself in danger zone in my life, I would do it again. But not what I have to go through, it's who I become by going through that process. And looking back of it, would I recommend you doing that? No, not at all.
Not at all.
Would I tell to do that to my son? I would say, I mean, you must be stupid doing that. But I do it for myself because my mindset is different. I know that everything has a purpose in life when you go through that. And I just have this strong inner belief that things happen because of a reason they happen. And you have to go through that process because it just makes you a different person. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
When we talk about that danger zone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me one danger zone in your life.
Oh man, that's a tough one right there. I would say for me, it's right now it's training for this 100 miler. You know, with my knees and everything like that, I'm approaching danger zone. I did the 50K today, and that was tough. My body's hurting. I know to run this 100 miles, I'm 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 gonna reach levels. I'm probably gonna collapse, faint, fall, break something down, break down. This is this is entering the danger zone for in my life. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And as well, it's important why I'm actually sharing that. It's I just want to create that level of awareness that you understand when we talk about these 3 cycles of zones that we're in. So there is our comfort zone that we do all our day-to-day living, driving, going frequently with people around it, your work, your life, and that actually if you want to build a stronger mindset is being aware what your comfort zone is and doing things differently, like take a different ride with your car, uh, do instead of driving walking, take a bicycle, do things that you normally don't do because that makes you grow. You get out of that comfort zone, you get into a stretch zone, and there are some moments in your life that you don't have to, but I strongly recommend to do as well some danger zone activities. I mean, don't put your life in danger. That would be stupid. I think that you should not do, you
Yeah.
know. And but I think that what made me grow. I don't know how is it in your life.
It
What
means
makes you
everything.
grow?
Well, I really like something you said right there when you talked about habits and your comfort zone and doing the same things all the time. Even you can even switch up. Even if you are within the comfort zone, you could take baby steps. It's hard to jump from the comfort to the stretch to but even in the comfort zone, one of the things I do in my comfort zone when I'm just going throughout my day-to-day tasks, I switch things up. So, right now, I can guarantee you, I want you to consciously think of this. Next time you put your shoes on, keep track every day for the next week. Watch how you put your shoes on. I guarantee you put the same shoe on first every single time. And so I'm trying to be consciously aware of the processes in my day-to-day operations, and I switch it up. So every day I try to put my left shoe on first or my right shoe on first. Or when I'm back home, I go rucking. I ruck this loop a couple times a week. One day I'll go to the left of the loop. The other day I'll go to the right of the loop. I'll change up my route going to work. I'll change up. Sometimes I brush my teeth with my left hand. I always get into my bed on the right side. I get in my bed the same way. Well, I switch it up and I go around the bed and get in the bed on the other side. And so you could still be in your comfort zone and start training your brain to switch your habits up within
Absolutely.
that zone. And that's something that I really focus on that has been huge in my life to accustom me into getting into different zones and doing things out of my comfort.
And I would add as well, when we talk about these different mindsets and different zones, but I want to bring it kind of down to earth because not everybody's doing Ironman, not everybody is like crazy as fuck and all that
Yeah,
shit.
absolutely.
So this should not be something that's like that you sit back home and say like, okay, those dudes there, okay, they're doing that stuff. I would bring that as well onto your day-to-day relationships. Having these three zones. I mean, do you remember in time and place when you met your first time, a girl, a boy, you got in a relationship together, and before you fall, or you have this period of time where you fall in love, you put yourself beautiful in state, you put your stuff on in the mirror, you look, you do things that you normally wouldn't do, and then suddenly you have this moment where you fall in love. It's like you start to move together, you live together, and there comes a moment where you stop doing that things that you actually did in your relationship, and then you become a different person. You do not dress up anymore. At home, you get in a pajama, which is absolutely unattractive or unsexy. You do not say that beautiful things to your lady, to your boy that you did before. And this falling apart of these things that you did do when you felt in love, that actually makes a huge difference in your relationship. And getting back that thought, that feeling that you could say, hey, what have I done like a month ago, a year ago, years ago to make that happen, that actually you become again that person, that how you make it, how you say it, that feeling that awakes that love again on your partner. How you call it?
The spark. I don't really know on that one, to be honest. The spark, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
you know,
yes,
create
yes.
that spark, that fire, that energy.
Your English is good.
That passion. Yeah, right. You know, when you only speak one, you hope you're decent at it. And yeah.
So I think it's about, what do you think about that? I mean, having a relationship. You had a long relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some relationships, and the problem is, and again, people enter back into that comfort zone. You know, they go out, they put themselves out there. Maybe they're in that stretch zone to get people to build that relationship, and then once you've built it and got it, it really falls into complacency, is what I would call it. And in the military, especially in the Ranger community, that's huge. Complacency kills, is what they say. So the moment you get complacent is the moment that you start losing everything. You start losing the loved ones, your relationships, connections, business, and everything like that. And so complacency, don't get complacent. That's number one.
That's the reason why I actually were drifting a little bit away into this relationships, because I think it's really important, this comfort zone and the stretch zone, and moving yourself out. I mean, of course, we're having our long days, our working jobs, whatever, but instead of sitting down and watching Netflix together, it's like, hey babe, get dressed up and let's go somewhere, let's organize, let's get a table, and let's do things that they are out of our comfort zone, that makes you feel great, that creates energy, that engages your partner. You remember one thing very important in your life: whatever you do, stronger energy always wins. If this is in sales, in marketing, if you're in a job interview, if you come confident in as well, doing sports, running, whatever it is, setting these goals that actually stretches you, that gives you confidence. You feel it. You got that inside, that feeling. You cannot come up with a fake smile.
No.
It's like you
Yeah,
have it in
you
your
can see it,
face.
man. Like,
Yes, you see it. I see that guy first time. Yeah, like that smile on, and that's your transmit. You create that energy. You attract that energy, and that starts with these little things in your life. And this is something that you can set a goal on, that being more confident, doing things that you normally don't do. And sorry to get back on that one, because I believe to create like another few minutes of value is have a little mindset, a little brainstorm about goal setting. And
Okay.
what do you think would be like 3, 4, 5 nuggets that is important when you set goals? Okay, let's just jump in.
Yeah, so one of the best things to do with setting goals is to have milestones. So you set your goal. Your goal is your overall target of what you want to achieve. But how do you know how do you know if you're on target to hit that goal? So I call it kind of backwards planning. You set the goal. All right, so say the goal is to run a marathon. Well, you don't just go out and run a marathon first. You got to run a lot of different things. And so I know we keep talking about fitness. It doesn't always have to be about fitness, but it's an easy correlation. So your goal is to run 26 miles, but you can't even run a mile. Well, first you have to run that mile. All right. And then once you run a mile, then you have to run 3, then 5, then 10, then 15, then 26. So you have your goal to run 26 miles, but you set milestones, backtracking, and you know you're on target, so, and putting time constraints on that. So say, hey, I got to run 26 miles in 6 months. Okay. So now you figure, okay, if I'm going to run this in 6 months, in 5 months, I need to be running 15 miles. In 4 months, I need to be running 10 miles. In 3 months, I should be running 5 miles. And in 1 month, I should at least be running 1 to 3 miles. And then you set a plan to hit the 1 and 3. And if you hit that, now you're on pace to hit the 5. And if you hit that, and so that's the most important thing when it comes to setting goals, is having milestones and targets that will, keep you on track to hitting those goals.
Love it. Um, Personally, I would add as well, there are, on the coin, we have all the time, there's two sides of the coin. As well, being aware of what's the cost of that goal. For example, if you, let's say you want to lose weight, you're going to get to the gym. I think that's a very common goal. Many people have that. I want to use that as a good example. For example, if I did not go normally to the gym, so what are the downsides? The downsides, first of all, is like preset yourself for success. Prepare yourself for success. What does it mean? For example, if you stop your work at 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. in the afternoon, you just think you're tired, you have to drive back home, get yourself ready, put your stuff and gear together. So most likely you're home, it's like, hey darling, here's a beer, eat something on the table, and then you're sitting down watching Netflix and you didn't do it. So when I started to actually train regularly, I put my gear already in the car in the morning. I put it together on the night before, and I did not even hit home before I was trained. As well, pleasure and pain, this is well very good, because pleasure would be short time pleasure. I don't know, get on a call with somebody, go out for a drink, and I said, okay, I still want to do that, but I do the training first. So it's first the pain, short time pain, which gives you long time pleasure, and then give you this short time pleasure after actually doing the action that will cause me short time pain but give me long time pleasure. So set yourself up, be aware about the cost that it has as well, not just what you gain. You will get good feeling, self-confidence, power, energy.
Well, and the thing is once you start seeing results, the pleasures start dwindling down. You go get a good workout and you're like, you know what? I don't even want to drink a beer. I don't even want to eat that slice of cake.
Absolutely.
Because you're starting to build the good habits that are driving you on, and you're hitting that gym every day, and you're like, man, I'm seeing results. And you start seeing the other side of the script. And I think once you get that transition of, hey, I've committed to this and I'm starting to see the results, the hardest part is just getting people to that point. But yeah, no, that pain takes over the pleasure, and you don't even need the pleasure anymore.
Exactly. And there as well comes in place Murphy's Law. Everything takes longer as it's meant to be. So this as well, set yourself this time in your agenda, being aware what it will take to actually arrive to the gym, get changed, doing the workout, drive back home, and have that actually planned in. If you just say, okay, I just have 50 minutes time, okay, then be aware that you have 50 minutes time and that you plan your training into that 50 minutes. Personally, I have to admit, I'm not a big gym guy. Why? Because I have so much stuff going on in my life that for me, driving there, sitting down and pushing and doing that stuff, I have my own gym built up at home. So for me, it's like,
Same, yeah.
I get in there, put my shoes on, and I'm running. And sometimes even from work, I just put my stuff on, I'm running. I put myself my cycling stuff at home there, where I just get on a bike and do my cycling sessions at home. I have my workout. We even did some lovely workouts on the balcony.
Yeah, no, you don't need much. I mean, just your body weight, and man,
You need two things:
yeah,
your body
in your mind.
and your mind, because it's so easy to say tomorrow,
That's what
later,
everyone says, yeah,
and I would say it's as well so easy to say, fuck it, I do it now.
right now.
The same thing that you can say, no, I do it tomorrow, it's the same thing that you can say, yes, but at first I do it today. And this is just a habit. and ritual that you educate yourself of actually doing that. What else is important for goal setting? We had the SMART formula. What would you actually relate to SMART? What's important when you set your goal?
Yeah, I mean, really, just when you set your goal, is just going back to what we talked about in the beginning. Is just developing a dedicated mindset to that goal. You know, like right now, I committed to doing 2 workouts a day every day for a whole year.
Specific. You just said it. Sorry to interrupt you. Be specific.
Be specific.
How much? How long? Twice a day? What time?
Yeah, so like
Every
2
day?
workouts a day, 45 minutes each. One workout has to be outside. So the more specific you get on the goal, the more it is you can focus on that goal. Measurable. You can achieve that goal. I know I'm achieving my goal because I can check time and I'm working out and 45 minutes have eluded. Cool. Check the box. Done for the day. You know, and so having
Yes.
measurable goals, and that goes into the milestones and everything like that.
Are realistic. It has to be as well realistic. When I talk about realistic, 10x mindset is really important. But realistic, what I mean with that is like we all want to earn more money. Okay, my first question is like, how much did you earn last year? Okay, last year I was on my 25K. Oh, fantastic. And the year before I had 18K. And then I say, okay, what's on your board for the next 12 months? And so you say like, I want to make 10 million. And I said, okay, that's good. I never tell you that you can't do that.
Yeah.
I say, but is that really realistic? I mean, 10x goals, if you made 20K or 200K, from going from 200K, I would say, okay, times 10 to make 2 million, to make you a million, because that's like, it creates, it takes a different mindset from go to 200 to a million. It takes a different mindset.
Absolutely.
But that's where I say that's a real specific, ambitious goal. But if you say I go from 20K to 2 million, it's not realistic. It's like, let's take a different step in between. And then we come to the T on the end from the SMART, tangible. What do we understand from tangible? It's not abstract goals. For like, I want to lose weight. That's not a goal. It's like, how much weight do you want to lose? In what time do you want to lose it? And as well create that picture of the new identity, how you will look, feel, be, move, actually created energy already as it would be there.
As if you've already achieved it.
And what else is important? I would say a tracking system. As simple it is. Do you have an idea on tracking system? How could you track your progress?
I mean, it really depends on the specific goal that you're doing. You know, like if your specific goal is to lose, you know, I want to lose 25 pounds in the next 6 months. Okay, cool. Well, now you're going to step on the scale every Monday and you're going to track your weight. All right, every Monday for the next 6 months, we're going to weigh ourselves in and see how much we're losing. That way we can track it and see if we're on goal to meet our time constraint of the 6 months. So if I know if I need to lose 25 pounds in 6 months, you'll divide 6 into 25. That's roughly 4 pounds, 4.2 pounds a week, or a month, I should say, which means it's about a pound a week. So now every week you step on the scale. Hey, I lost my pound this week. And so now you're measuring it and you're tracking it.
And track as well your intake. It's like, what did I eat? What did I eat today? What is important for me in my diet? Is it like, is it protein? Is it carbs? What diet do I take? What do I really take in? Because I think weight myself, that's a part of measuring. But it's not just about the weight. It's as well what you take in.
It's that I mean 100%. It's all
absolutely,
what you take in.
absolutely.
Like, look, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Losing weight, and there's always gonna be people out there that say, "Oh, there's this scenario and this scenario." Losing weight's easy. It's absolutely one of the easiest things to possibly do. You just have to track your food and watch what you eat. Track your food, watch what you eat, watch what you put in your body, and you will lose weight. I mean, it's one of the simplest things in theory to do. It's just actually doing it. That's the hard part.
Here we go. So on goal setting, I think we had some real good stuff in there. Is there anything that you would add on that one?
Not so much. I mean, really, if you follow the SMART complex, and again, you can reach out to any one of us and on your website and everything. That if you follow the SMART plan, that's a great beginner mindset to adopt to setting goals and creating goals. You know, there are other things that you can do that are next level, but for the average listener right now and everything like that, sticking within that SMART plan is really where it's at.
I think that's amazing. And yeah, on that moment here right now, I just want to say thank you for showing up here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for actually sharing your knowledge, your experience, your adventures, your mindset with us here today. I hope we're going to see you again. And
Absolutely.
yeah, big hug to the US, Tennessee, badass compound coach, Justin
Woo!
Martinez.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for your hospitality. Opening your home to me and being awesome, allowing us to use this studio, and definitely plan to come back in collaboration. I look forward to our future podcasts and series and shows that we're gonna do for people. I'm actually really excited for that, and I'm excited for you and your business and everything that you're growing and it's super awesome. Your network is your net worth. I'm really glad that I joined the Grant Cardone community because that has enabled me to meet so many awesome people. Had I never done that, we would have never met. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. We wouldn't be doing this. Sometimes I often think about like, man, if I had never made this decision, the trickle effect that where my life is, my life would be a totally different path. So glad I joined the 10X community, decided to become a business coach, and now we're here.
How can people reach you just quickly?
Yeah, so you can always reach me on mainly Instagram is the best way. You can get me on Instagram, the Compounder Coach. Look me up, Instagram, the Compounder Coach. I show every day that I'm living this lifestyle. Like I ran today. You could go to my stories and in my profile, and you can see that I'm doing it. So everything I preach and teach, I'm living every single day. So the Compounder Coach on Instagram.
Fantastic having you here. Thank you so much. Big hug and hope to see you again.
Yes, sir. Woo.